Hey guys, today we have my client Jacob with us and he's completed the Neuromind Mastery Program, and today I'm going to interview him so you can actually see the transformation he has gone through. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself to the listeners, your age, where you're from, just the background.
My name is Jacob, I'm 30 years old, I live here in Denmark. I work with a physiotherapist where I do mostly social media work, film content, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
My background is that I was actually trained as a financial advisor. I worked there many years ago, and I suffered from depression and anxiety and stuff like that, which has been a journey since then. It's 7 years ago now, so
yeah.
It's been a long journey. I've had many different diagnoses along the way, but yeah, now I'm finally back to working again, and it's in a completely different field than what I was trained as, but I'm very happy where I am now.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for sharing that. So what motivated you to hop on the first call with me when we were talking on Instagram? Well, you followed me.
Yeah, I followed you because you did a lot of interesting content where I feel like I could. I was hoping that I could learn something about how the brain works and why do I act the way I do. Why do people in general act the way they do?
Understanding their behavior, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And in the beginning I was hoping to just gather a lot of information through your content and stuff like that. But then I think you reached out after I answered some questions on your story.
Yeah.
And I felt like the dialogue was extremely interesting. So I figured I'd do the first interaction where we met up, and I believed that you could help me. So basically that's why
we're here.
I was hooked.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I always reach out when you follow me, engaging with my content. I always reach out because I'm making that content to help you guys. But at the same time, I'm also helping myself because I learned so much from you guys. So that's amazing. It's like a two-way street, right? So Jacob, what was the challenges that you were facing before? You were not getting any help, right? Before you worked with me, you were not getting any help.
No, I was like in between period. I have done a lot of different therapy types, mostly through doctors and the health care system here in Denmark. I have some background, but then all of a sudden there was nothing left that they could offer me because I've done so much therapy, but I still felt like I had a long way to go. I felt like this was a perfect opportunity to try to continue growing. The challenges that I have was that I was still dealing with a lot of depressive thoughts and anxiety, especially in social environments. Being at birthday parties and family gatherings and stuff like that was a huge challenge for me. And I wanted to be able to do that because obviously I want to have some social life. I wanted to do it for my family and my girlfriend and stuff like that. So I was hoping that this program could help me better that, and so I could increase my capacity in social.
And actually have a life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you didn't have a life, do not get me wrong. Of course you had a life, but like really living.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling that fear of social anxiety taking over and you having a panic attack.
Exactly.
Stuff, because you did suffer from panic attacks, right? You told me.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. So up until you worked with me, how did you handle your anxiety? I know you told our listeners that you had some help, but what did you do when you had a panic attack, or what happened? Like, how did you try to solve the situation? Because you had to go to birthday parties.
Yeah,
you do have your girlfriend.
I did a lot of canceling.
Oh, minute. Okay. So
there was
you didn't participate.
Rarely participated, but I tried to when I felt like it was most important that I actually showed up and then just be there for whatever time that I could be. But it would always take a huge toll on me. I would get physically sick and have fever and stuff like that for following days. Whenever I tried to do something social, it would always have a huge price afterwards.
Okay, so you were basically physically sick.
Yeah.
And how about mentally? How did that feel?
Well, it was draining and a lot of negative thoughts. The trail thoughts were just like
Spiral?
Yeah, exactly. It was tough to get out of, and it could usually take days, sometimes a week, before I could actually try to regroup myself.
That is a long time.
Yeah, and actually try to then continue my life again. And then just basically wait for the next time there's something.
Event. Okay.
Exactly.
But did you, like, when you were at the event, did you even enjoy yourself? No. Because anxiety took over.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable for me.
Jacob, what did success look like to you when you were going into the program to work with me?
Well, I wanted to have a high quality of life. I wanted to be able to do more social. I wanted to be able to go out, enjoy dinner, and be at family gatherings and stuff like that. So, yeah, basically that. That's the first step. Later on, I love sports, so it would be nice to be able to go to sport events and stuff like that, and watch football, basketball, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and not have maybe to pay a big price for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also enjoying it while you're there.
I can put myself in the situation, but it's just going to be a horrible experience for me, and then I'm not going to be a human being for the next week afterwards. I'm just going to be...
So that's tough, right? When you know you have to be like lay in bed, like be physically, mentally drained out.
Obviously, that's why I avoid it.
You try to avoid it. Yeah.
Because I don't want to do that, because I love going to the gym, and I won't even be able to do that. So
that's tough. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So what do you think the next 12 months would look like for you now that you've done the program?
I plan to extend the program, so I feel like there's still a lot that I need to work on, even though I feel like I've learned a lot and I've gone far so far. But I feel like there's still a lot of assistance that I need along this
because
path.
We have tried to combat your social anxiety doing a lot of hypnosis, and you have got some neuroscience toolkit that you can use, some grounding, breathing, and we were talking about what happens in your brain and how all our brains work basically. So how do you think you got that success in the program so far? I just mentioned some things, but what was the things that made you like face your fears and that you had the courage to actually do some things?
Well, I felt like I had some tools that I could actually use, because I feel like that's what I needed more from in the past when I went to therapy, is that when I'm put in a situation that I can avoid, how do I deal with it? Because it was always just like, we have a conversation, and then it feels a bit better afterwards, but then the next time it's going to be the same story.
This is what I felt in therapy as well. It's like we were just talking. It's like, so what do I do after therapy ends? It's like, what do I have something I can take with me?
Exactly. So I feel like the tools, the breathing exercises that I can do in various situations is a huge assistance, because I feel like I can better regroup myself.
You do a lot of grounding as well. When you're feeling like panic is hitting you.
So I feel like that's what helped me the most. I'm not sure I answered the question.
I think you did. Okay. I think you did. And also that you were actually courageous enough to try some big things, like going to an NBA game.
Not
NBA, but a basketball game.
Basketball game here in Denmark.
In Denmark. But there's still like a huge crowd compared to, you say you go to the gym. It's like, it's an upgrade.
It was difficult, and it was probably an overreach, but I felt like I had the courage because I wanted to see what I could do, and I wanted to test, this is what I want to be able to do afterwards.
You want to test your boundaries.
Exactly, so I needed to see how far off am I and what do I do when I'm in that situation. So it was an overreach, but I'm still happy that I did it. It cost me a few days, but I learned a lot.
But it didn't cost you a whole week or 2 weeks in bed.
No.
Because I gradually exposed you to how it would be to participate in a basketball game through hypnotherapy. So you had the courage to visualize what will happen. You know, and you were guarded. You practiced and you were prepared and you did it.
I did it.
Yeah, so that was like a huge thing, even though it did have a cost.
Yeah.
But it was also you wanting to do something big.
I did, and it was my own choice. So
yeah, and I was caught up by surprise, but
Yeah.
still you managed and you did it. And I'm very proud of you for
Yeah,
doing all of
me
this.
too. It was basically my friend. He was asking a lot of questions. We watch a lot of NBA games together, but he wasn't really. He never watched Danish basketball,
Yeah.
and so he started asking
Yeah,
questions.
who does
and
that? Sorry.
So yeah, he asked me about a lot of questions, and then when I answered, he was like, "We should go to a game," and I was like,
You were in the moment.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
let's go.
okay.
Yeah, and then you're like texting me, okay, we have to do hypnosis on
Yeah.
this. But that worked out, and now you tried it. So next time there's an opportunity, you already know.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with our brains, right? Uncertainty kicks in, fear kicks in, and then anxiety basically get triggered. But you faced that, and you had your exercises with you, even though you did feel anxiety did creep in.
Yeah.
You were still managed to like ground yourself and enjoy whatever that was left of the game, right?
Yeah.
At the end. And
Yeah, there was like a brief period in the middle of the
Yeah.
game where I kind of zoned out,
Yeah.
and anxiety was a lot for me. So I missed a lot of in the middle part of the game because
Yeah.
I couldn't really watch
Yeah,
it.
because anxiety
But
took
yeah,
over, yeah.
Exactly. But then I just tried to focus on my breathing, and eventually I got back to it, and luckily I was able to watch the last 6 minutes of the game, which was one of the biggest results in Danish basketball.
Oh, wow.
So
It was worth it.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it. It was huge, and and I got a lot of even though it was tough, I also got a lot of good memories from it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have to live, and even though it seems scary, but when you have the right toolkit or you have some guidance, someone supporting you, you have the courage to actually do it.
Yeah.
And then you know how it felt, right? But it was a big upgrade from just going to birthday parties, I would say.
Or supermarkets.
Yeah, supermarkets that you wanted to do this. I was
Yeah.
caught up by surprise, but I was like, no, I'm gonna encourage you. I'm gonna help you as best
Yeah.
as I can. And now you know, it was a big thing, but you did it.
Yeah.
So
And
that
now
is
I
a
know
win.
what it feels like, and I have something to compare to next time I try it.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's a bit better each time.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because now you already know, so it doesn't seem that scary.
Exactly, because I feel like it's important to have perspective on things, and when it's so long since I last been to any sporting events, it's difficult to compare to something you don't really know.
Exactly.
Because it's rarely that I do something like that.
Yeah.
So I also needed to know what it feels like now in order to see the improvements that I make down the line.
Yeah, and you definitely have. Jacob has improved himself immensely from the first time I saw you. It's been 3 months now. We've been working together because it's a 3-month program. But of course, it depends. Like when you're working with all of this and you're changing so much, sometimes you want to renew because you're having this new identity. And now you know I can actually do this and that, which I didn't used to do.
Yeah.
So it's like a different challenges coming. So it's a different perspective on things, just like you said. So Jacob, knowing what you know now, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Well, I would probably have reached out to a different type of assistance and help than I've been getting for the past 7 years.
It's just 7 years. It's a long time.
It's a long time. There's been a lot of wrong diagnoses along the line, which has like blurred the whole
process.
Yeah. But I knew everything now. Obviously, it would be a lot easier because I would know that I was dealing with Asperger and stuff like that.
Yeah. Jacob is autistic, but with the Asperger syndrome.
Yeah.
So his brain just works differently from people who does not have it. But that doesn't mean that he's not capable of doing everything as everyone else, basically. You just get, you are overly sensitive. Yeah, and that's why he gets overly overwhelmed with things that might not seem overwhelming maybe to me, for instance.
Yeah.
I'm overly sensitive too, even though I'm not autistic or I don't have ADHD, but I do get overwhelmed as well because I'm just very highly sensitive.
Yeah.
So we all have unique personalities, and there's nothing wrong or right. So it's just a matter of understanding how your brain works and do the coaching with you, basically, how you want it. So I understand, like, you like to put things in boxes, you like to have a structure. No, I'm just saying, and it's not a bad thing, but that's how you operate, basically.
Definitely, yeah.
So
I try to make every day seem as similar as to
because
the last
then it
one.
feels
Yeah,
safe
exactly.
for your brain.
Yeah.
And if there's a change, then it feels scary.
Definitely.
I think it does for most people. We all like routines.
Yeah.
We all like routine. Let's just get that, But my days vary, and I love my days, and I also love to be surprised and do other things. But like we're all different.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't like that.
I don't like to be surprised.
Okay, no one surprises Jacob. Okay. So Jacob, I have to ask you, what has been your favorite part of the program so far?
I think learning how much your breathing and stuff like that can actually affect how you feel and how much it can help in many scenarios. So I feel like that's my favorite part of it all, is that I can control so much within myself.
Yes, and anxiety can be controlled.
Yeah.
So for 7 years, your anxiety has been controlling you, basically. But now actually you are in control. You're the driver of the car, basically. Yeah. And that feels great, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing. And even though it's still tough to deal with, it's
of course,
not,
it will be there always,
but just
I think.
knowing that there are things you can do makes it easier to just do something.
Yeah, for yourself.
Yeah.
And do the things that you want to do, like going to sport events and stuff. Okay, that's amazing. For anyone trying to achieve a similar level of success like you have, what's one thing they should avoid?
Having a narrow mindset and thinking that they know what challenges them. Because I feel like at least for me, I was too caught up in thinking that I knew what was wrong and I knew what challenged me. But I feel like just being open and listening and learning more about how the brain works and learning about that there are things you can do when your brain takes over. So yeah, just being open, I guess, and open to change, open to developing yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. And can you give one piece of maybe tactical advice to anyone who's listening that want to get started, but they're afraid? Like, where's the first step?
Well, I think the first step is reaching out and ask for help, because mental health issues is difficult to go through alone. So I feel like it's important to have a strong connection with somebody that actually understands you and can assist you along the way. So I feel like reaching out and asking for help is the best advice I can give.
I think so. And I know it's hard for many to just reach out the first, to acknowledge they need help.
Yeah.
And they're trying to fix themselves, and that's why we all like there is help. Don't be so when you try to fix yourself, you're actually self-sabotaging yourself, because it's really hard to do it on your own. You're not the professional.
Also, I think that as a society we need to have a more open dialogue about mental health issues, because everybody struggles. Everybody has something that they feel like is a too big of an obstacle to go through. And everybody has anxiety at any level. Everybody can have sad thoughts. I won't say depression because it's more of a clinical term, but we all struggle with things.
Most people have negative thoughts a day, and 80,000 thoughts are mostly negative we have during the day. So it's very normal.
Yeah, so I feel like just being open to talking about the obstacles that you face is a huge step, because we need to normalize that. Because everybody's tried to make it seem like their life is so perfect and they have nothing to deal with.
Instagram, you guys.
And life isn't that way. So I feel like we just have to be open, and if everybody just opens up about what they face, it would be easier for the next person.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on, Jacob. I really appreciate you. Jacob is a superstar right here. No, you are, because you've been very courageous. Like, you also did not question the things that I assigned you to do. And he's been a good student, you guys, because he did all his homework. And some of my clients, they're like, why should I do it? Because their brain is still telling them they don't believe.
Oh, that's another thing. Journaling has been a huge help for me. It makes me more aware of the thoughts that I actually deal with, and it helps me put things in boxes so I can actually figure out, okay, this is why I feel the way I do. So journaling is another tool that
and you've been so good at it.
Thank you.
He could actually publish a book, I think. Thank you, Jacob, everyone. See you in the next video.